Right, mate. I think we are live, mate. Thank you very much, Paul. And I thanks for not telling me to fuck off because I've just been irritating you for ages. When are you coming on my podcast? Like, this is for me. Like I said when I spoke to your tech guy, like, what a cool way to finish off like my 50th episode, season one. You know, I think like great to sit down with someone that's doing something similar, but obviously, you know, a different with your own flair. So I think take it back to wherever you want to go, whether you want to dive into a bit of the tattoo world first, or it's the camera is yours, mate. It's great to have you on.
Mate, listen, I know that you've been reaching out to me and I've said for you for some time now that I'll definitely come on your show. It's just that every time you reached out, there was something major going on.
Yeah.
And but I'm honoured, mate, to be on this show, and I'm honoured that I'm the last one of the series. And yeah, mate, I'm buzzed, and everything that you're doing as well. I've been watching, with what you're doing, and you're always showing love. You're always on my lives. You're always supporting my every time I post up pictures and stuff. Listen, it's someone that can give me that time of day. I'll give it right back. So I appreciate
it. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
That's all right. It's all right. So, like, before all this charity stuff that I've done, I was a tattoo artist, you know what I mean? I never planned to be a tattoo artist. That wasn't something that I ever thought, oh, do you know what it is? I'm going to be a tattoo artist, you know? I was one of them kids that was just, all I wanted to be was just naughty, mate. You know, I just wanted to be naughty. And I'm not, this isn't an ego thing where I'm sitting there saying, oh yeah, I'm a bad man or anything like that. Believe me, I'm far from a bad man, but I've done stuff. Do you know what I mean? That could have landed me in many places that I'm not today. And I'm grateful that I'm able to have a skill that I can have turned my life around, you know? So I've got nothing but love and blessings for the tattoo industry. That's my first and foremost trade, you know. That when I say I never thought I would be, listen, I was just graffitiing when I was a kid, and I didn't have no, like, I come from a poor family, you know, like we didn't have none of the new stuff, we didn't have anything like that. So to be able to hide all of that, like, and still stay friends with the cool kids, is what everyone would say at school, I mastered it with being able to do graffiti, tagging, and just going and on sleepovers. They say bring over your stuff. I'll just bring pens and papers, you know, that would go over, and I'll just teach them how to draw, and that just bypassed and hid the fact that we never had nothing, you know. So, but dude, I had a happy childhood. My childhood was fun, mate. You know, like, as me, my brother, and my two sisters, we was chucked out in the morning, and we got called if we were too far away from the front door that we couldn't hear mum when saying, like, it's lunchtime. We was too far away. Do you know what I mean? So we was left to do what we wanted, but we were still reined in by a very powerful mum.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's so like I think a question I have for like the tattoo scene, like, obviously we spoke a little bit off air, like how you said obviously you know you didn't have, like, you had a great upbringing, but however, like, there wasn't loads of money. Do you find that like with the art side of it, like, I've found, like, for example, in the tattoo scene, it'd be interesting to see your point. Like, I've noticed that some of the best artists, if not that there is such thing as the greatest or the worst, but some of, like, the craziest pieces being created come out of, like, Eastern Europe, almost like where it is like life ain't easy. Like, do you agree that, like, art, like, when it comes from the gut, when it comes from I've got to feed myself, or so, when you're masking pain, like, I don't know, do you know what I mean? Like,
that's like that with paintings and everything, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at anyone that's suffering from trauma to the point where the geezer cut his ear off and painted it and gave it to his girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff is not created from, like, a calm mind. You know, like, no. there is something there that is triggering you enough to be able to express, not verbally, not physically, but like in art, 100%, without a doubt. And you know, if you're from some countries, like you say, that are in poverty and they haven't got much or the ability to be able to go to school or anything, what better way to make a living out of just expressing yourself through art? It's just insane.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and that's, like, the only reason why I mentioned, like, Eastern Europe, because obviously you being a professional artist, like, you can see kind of where the trends are, where the artists, where all of a sudden, not that, I mean, you know, once the tattoo scene's been going so long, you can't reinvent the wheel. However, every now and again, something changes, and you're like, at the moment it seems to be that the culture seems to be leveling up slightly more in like, you know, in the eastern side of Europe. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's obviously
Mate,
like over there times are hard. Again, like, do you know what I mean? I'm not.
yeah,
I don't know.
100%. Some of the best artists that I have seen was artists that is actually illegal to tattoo or have a tattoo in their country.
Yeah.
And you know, some artists that I know in America, they've sponsored them to come over and work at their studio, and their artwork is insane. And you think to yourself, well, how have you got the ink to be able to do that? They're making up their own inks. They're doing, you know, they're doing everything.
Yeah,
like we're lazy. Oh, I've run out of ink. Get on the phone. Get out ordered. Next day delivery.
Yeah.
Done.
Killer ink, bang. You know, it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, isn't it? So like for you, so obviously did you open, how long was it once you realized you wanted to tattoo, did you go down the conventional apprenticeship, or was you just like at home tattooing your mates?
Oh, mate. So there was this, like I say, I was a little bit of a criminal before I become an artist, and, you know, needs must and all that, like, you know, there ain't no one giving me no opportunities with jobs and stuff. So, you know, I done a little job for somebody. That was an artist. That artist turned around and said to me, mate, you've got to get out the lifestyle. You know, there's a shelf life on it. I was like, no, I can't do this. And he was like, you bring your own stuff in, mate. You can draw, you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. And then he was tattooing my leg, and he goes, here, have a go. And I was like, what? Tattoo myself? And he was like, yeah, have a go. So I was shaking away. I'm like this. I was like, he goes, listen, whatever you mess up, I can fix. Right. So I'm like, all right, okay. So I've got a little bit of confidence there, and I'm shaking away. But mate, as soon as that needle touched the skin, my shake stopped.
It's crazy.
This light, this thing happened in my head. I just felt warm. I felt cold. I felt warm again. And I thought to myself, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. And I truly felt like that. Goosebumps, sweating. I was like, this is me. Like, this is what I need to do. And he looked at me and he says, you feel it, didn't you? And I said, yeah, I think I do. And he said, do you want to do it? And I said, yeah. He goes, I'll teach you. So I was like, all right, sweet. What do I need to do? So he goes, buy a tattoo kit. So I bought this tattoo kit offline. It turned up to me like 3 days later. I rung him up and I said, dude, my kit's come. He said, bring it to me, show me. I took the kit down there. He started taking it to pieces, put everything together. I'd done the machine. He goes, do you see what I just done there? I went, yeah. He said, do that every time you do a tattoo. Come back in 2 weeks for photographs. I was like, what? That was my apprenticeship.
Wow.
I ended up, I went away for 2 weeks. I tattooed everybody on my estate. Everybody. I just done line work though, because he never showed me how to do the colouring or nothing. Yeah. So I just done line work. I covered my sister's boyfriend at the time, which is an absolute. So I covered him, and I'm glad she finished with him, because he's got loads of crap on him now that he can't even use anymore. So he can't even cover it up. So I covered him. I covered my next door neighbour. I covered my mum, my brother, my sisters, all their friends. I literally just tattooed everyone. I went back in 2 weeks. I had all these photographs. I gave them to the guy, and the guy goes, you did these? And I went, yeah. He went, you didn't do these? I said, yeah, I did. So then we ended up having a little bit of a to-do, because he didn't believe me. I snatched the photographs out of his hands, and I said, do you know what? I don't need you. I'll do this by myself. And I walked out the shop, and he said something when he left. And I said, mate, I'm telling you now, I'm going to end up at his shop, and you're going to come for me for a job. And then I left. And then I was on the run from the old Bill at the time. So I had to get out of my town, and I kind of went further up north. And when I went up there, the only thing I took was my tattoo kit. So I was up there, and I just started tattooing people up there, and you know, listen, yeah, I know I'm. It's almost sounded like a scratchy, yeah, but you know, I'm a professional now, right? But how I'm saying it is not how I address other people to go and do the same thing. No. If you want to get into a professional studio under a professional name, there is no studio that's going to take you if you are doing what I did to start with. Yeah. I had no help, so I had to go. This is what I wanted to do. This is where my passion was. This is where I knew that my life is tattooing, and I need this. And there was no one. So a lot of trial and error. There was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of reworks later on in time. But yeah, I was on the run. I was up north. I went into a tattoo shop to cover up to look a little bit different, so the police wouldn't recognise me up north. And so I've gone into this tattoo shop. It just so happened that they sacked their tattooist the day before. I was getting tattooed, and I said, "Oh, are you looking for a tattoo artist?" They said, "Yeah." I said, "Look, I've only just started. I had an apprenticeship down south. I now live up here." Give them a different name. I was using a different name and everything, and that was it. I started tattooing in the studio, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then it was a good little studio, you know. It was a studio up north called Sunderland Body Art.
Okay, so you're you're right up north then.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Past me, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got headhunted for a studio in Scotland, and I worked at that guy was called Rocket. It was called House of Pain. That one. It was a pretty well known studio in Perth.
Yeah, the name rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I ended up headhunted for a woman called Emma Kazek, and that was at Aurora Tattoo in Lancaster.
Yeah, I've heard of Aurora. I think there's an Aurora in York as well, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
She's like world class as well. So I ended up in them studios, and I just watched and just picked up from them. And you know, I tried to do everything I could to make sure that I was gonna be like the ones I saw in the magazine, and I'd be up, like, mate, I'd get up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm drawing up. Yeah, I'm at work. Sometimes I start at 5 o'clock in the morning. You said that you wanted this on here at 7. I don't finish till 7, so I'll be like 5 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm always 7 o'clock at night by the time I finish, and I start early, so I absorb all of my time and energy into my industry as much as I can, you know, and I hope it shows in my work, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, obviously, was it yesterday you posted like the cover up of the Phoenix? I mean, mate, I don't do color. Like, color terrifies me. Like, I think what my opinion on color is, like, I see so much color work that looks good when it's fresh, but yet when you see it when it's healed, it's like that isn't the same guy's work, but it is, and it's like there's definitely a knack to color, and like, but I respectfully, I'm like, no, because you know, I don't do anything that I feel that I can't do, and I'd sooner give the work to somebody that's going to do it justice.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do for you. Yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do for you when it comes to that piece. Yeah, that piece, that woman's due back in a month's time. Yeah, and she's a regular in my studio. I will take a photograph, right, of that in a month's time to show you how my color heals.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I think there's some pictures on your page where you've got some pictures up of some healed stuff, and I mean, you work solid, man. I mean, how long have you been tattooing for?
Do you know what? I can't even. So I've been tattooing for quite some time, but I was like, oh, my mates were drunk, let's tattoo this and that. I started taking it professionally in 2013. I took it real serious. There was a guy that come to work at my studio. See, right, so I set up my studio 15 years ago on the 17th of August, right? So coming up is 15-year anniversary. Now, when I got that place, it was kind of a place where I was in a bad relationship. I kept getting kicked out. I got the studio so I could live there whenever I got kicked out. So, and then what I'd do is I'd party with my friends, go back there, and we'd just chill out. And it was like a chill out spot. It wasn't like, I didn't get it as a tattoo studio where it's going to be open and just do it that way. I just got it as a safe place for me to be able to have somewhere to go, so I'm not sleeping in my car, you know. So I ended up, there was a guy that come and worked for us, and he's another big name called Kelvin Slack. Do you know that? Have you heard that name?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Kelvin Slack come work for us. He moved down south with me. He's back up Doncaster now. He's got a studio up there. But he come and work for us, and he's a color realism artist. And he is, I'd have to say, one of the best in the UK without a doubt for color portrait realism, for sure, 100%. Nice. And he turned around and said to me, "Why don't you?" He goes, "I've been offered to go and do a show. Why don't you come with us?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't think I could do a convention, mate. No way." Like, I was I was like, never. And this was in 2013. And he was like, come with me. We'll do it together. We'll have a booth together. And I was like, all right. So I went to this show. I turned up. There was like 20 of us all turned up, all dressed the same, looked like cheerleaders. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know nothing. And they're all. That was a Scottish body art, I think it was called, in Perth.
Okay. Yep.
And yeah, we went to that one, and I'd never ever done a show. I'd never done anything. I'd done a massive black and grey piece, and I left that on my Instagram. So if you scroll right the way down to the bottom, you'll see that piece on there. That was my first award I ever won. I won that category, and I walked away from my first show with an award. And that's when I thought to myself, do you know what? Like, I think I can do this properly, and not just, man. Oh, my mate wants a tattoo. I'll quickly make a couple £100 like today, and that'll be me. That'll be me for today until I run out of money, and then I'll tattoo somebody else. And 2013, thanks to Calvin Slack, I took it, started taking it serious. I won an award. I could put on there award-winning artist, and you know, I looked at all these magazines and stuff, and I always saw on there award-winning artists, and I was thinking to myself, oh my god, I want to be just like these guys. I want to be like up there with them. And you ain't gonna do it if you haven't won the award. And you know what it is? As much as the awards meant something, probably like in the old days of tattooing, but I don't think the awards really mean that much anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, I think sometimes it's just word of mouth is by far better than an award. You know, like when you see someone. Yeah. So
I think the word of mouth is always like you say, obviously you can have a massive social media following, but at the end of the day, it doesn't always, you probably find that there's probably quite a few people that come into the studio for the first time and have never heard of you on social media because they don't know who you are. Do you know what I mean?
I've never had anyone come in the studio, man, and said, oh, I heard you're an award-winning artist. I want a piece by you. Never have I ever had anyone say that. And like in my shop, there's awards there's awards all over the wall. I got so obsessed with winning these awards that I entered every single category, and I won every category I entered. So I've got like all the awards up in the shop. I even got best artist of the show, and I got like all the pieces. I've got best color, best black and grey. Like I literally got them all, and they were sitting up on the wall. And I thought to myself, I kept going back to the same show in Ireland, and I was winning back pieces like all the time, and I'd won it like 9 years in a row.
Wow!
I said, was it 9 years? I won it 9 times, didn't I? I think the show was on a couple of times in 1 year, so I won it 9 times, and I said to myself, I need to stop doing this, man. I need to stop doing it because I was seeing all the young people there that were hungry for the award. And when I was winning them, it was just like, thanks. And then because I'd already won, that first buzz was done. That was it. You don't get that buzz again. It's like, you know, once you've done it once, you get that buzz, and then you try and hunt that buzz again, and you can't get it. So I stopped competing. I stopped competing, and I started doing the judging, and I started just chilling out and hanging out at the shows. But to tell you the truth, the shows were a lot more fun when I was more relaxed and just chilling out with the other artists than it was actually competing.
Yeah. I mean, I've only ever been to shows as, you know, as a guest, like not tattooing. Like I don't even think really, for me personally, I don't even think like I'm really even ready for anything like that. I mean, I had like a good year plus break. So like the piece I sent you today, like that's only my 4th tattoo since October last year. You know, so I'm still getting like, you know, like muscle. I'm still building up muscles back. I mean, right now, my cramp in my hands is phenomenal. You know, it's like fucking walk around like that for about an hour after you finish. You know, like But no, I mean, I'm enjoying it again, and I think like, I mean, I'm a self-taught artist. I never apprenticed. So I don't. That's why I said to you like the other day in messages, like I know where I'm at. Like I don't think. I put a lot of effort into respecting where the cultures come from, you know, like understanding where black and grey started, and I think that like as someone that's kind of gone down the apprentice route and like worked their way up the old school way, I can understand why they're hating on the lads that have just gone on Killer Inc. and bought a Cheyenne or whatever, or an Ego straight off there and hit the ground running. But I think to the new artists that haven't gone the hard way about it, it doesn't take you 5 minutes just to kind of get an understanding and respect where it's come from. You
Yeah.
know, okay, you've not made the needles like they used to, or cleaned the sinks and all that. Okay, you haven't done that, but it's like going to a foreign country. First thing you learn is please and thank you in the language. It just says a lot about you as a person, I think. You know, and
Mate,
that's kind of what I did. Do you know what I mean? I
without a doubt.
watched all the
Bro,
documentaries and
I still hand carbon. I don't use an iPad. I literally still cut and shut. You know, I'm printing off, cutting and shutting. I'm drawing.
yeah,
I like I say, I hand carbon. My hands are covered in
yeah,
carbon and everything. You know, it's
yeah.
just I
I
still
hand
I'm
draw my
still
portraits. I
yeah.
hand draw
I literally hand
portrait
draw
stuff.
everything. I hand
Yeah,
draw everything. I like to have a run or it's a run of what it is I'm doing, so I can get a pen run, so I get a familiarity to what I'm
yeah,
doing,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then go from it that way. I'm pretty autistic like that. Do you know what I mean?
But no, but that's and obviously like I mean that's what and that's one of the main reasons. Well, for me, and again, this is like my experience in the tattoo world is like a fraction of like what you've achieved and what you and how long you've been in. I've only been in and around it for like 5 years or so. But I found, especially with portrait work, I think a pen line is natural. There's inconsistencies in it. There's it makes it more organic. I think I think I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, um, but yeah. So I think it's incredible what you've done with the studio. So how long has the studio black because it's Lucky 13 tattoo studio, and how long is that? Is that the same studio from 2009 then?
Yeah. That's the same
Same
one that's been
location.
open 15
Wow.
years this year. So that studio's been open 15 this year. Before that, I'd worked in other people's studios. And do you know what?
Right on.
I see how they just didn't respect customers. And
Okay.
for me, that was a big like, how can you do this? How can you talk to people? How can you treat people like that? And do you know what? When I price tattoos as well, I price on what I would pay, what I would be comfortable with paying is how I price.
Mm,
I was working in studios that were just robbing people just to get that money in, and
yeah.
it didn't sit right with me. So I just had to go and just go off on my own and do it that way. I didn't set out to be my own boss and open my own studio. I had a safe place that I could go to, and that ended up being my studio. Do you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I mean, like, obviously, I've only seen pictures of it on social media now. If it, like, from what I can see, it looks fucking cool as hell, like, nice and dark with the hexagon lights and, like, all the
Yeah.
artwork on the walls. And, it looks, and obviously, you put a lot of videos up of, like, a few of you, I'm guessing, at work there having a laugh and, like, dancing around and shit, which is
Yeah, man.
fucking,
That
it's what it's
family vibe.
about. Yeah. It's
Family
awesome.
vibe. Do you know what it is? Yeah, like, man, if I get stressed, I get angry, and I just like sometimes I just have to have myself in a positive zone all the time. Like, but more so since we're probably going to end up getting into that anyway. But more so since I lost my brother, I
Yeah.
needed to be in a more positive environment that could help me manage the loss of my brother. Do you know? Because
Yeah.
the way it all was, it literally blew my world to pieces. So I I had my studio a certain way. I had a punch machine in there, what you'd see at the arcade, and my brother had spent all his time on there because if you look on my Instagram, I smashed it and I hit the top score. And my brother spent like a year and a half trying to beat it, and he was just one after the other after the other. And
Yeah.
after he'd died, I had to rip all the studio to pieces and rebuild it again because there was too much memory in there, and my safe place was now my lonely
Yeah.
place, because
Because,
I could be tattooing and all I could see was my brother there. So I had
yeah.
to take away all of that negativity, which was good memories, but I had to get it all gone so I could creatively flow a lot better mentally and be, I'm at work more than I'm at home. So I have to
Yeah.
have an environment at work that is good enough for me to be able to be peaceful for when I go home.
Yeah. I mean, like, and what I want to do before we get into that, so obviously, like, I kind of like take you back, like, was to go back a bit where obviously at the beginning you state like how you've been in trouble a bit, and this is really I'm kind of like summarizing where we are so far because I think it's interesting because obviously a lot of people follow a lot like people that know you on your podcast and know what what your mission is like. I think that for me, it's exciting to kind of get like at the end of the day, at one point, Paul was a bit of a bad lad and obviously got himself in some bother. So obviously you kind of plateaued, chilled out a bit, started focusing on your artwork. Obviously now you had a purpose, and then obviously, unfortunately, your world was turned upside down. So I think in that time of you focusing so hard on tattooing, obviously you started to be known as the dude that was a bit more, oh, he's a cool guy, he's a tattooist, but people are, I don't know. This is only me talking. Like I'd say I don't know you personally. I'm lucky enough to have you on it, but like I'm kind of trying to like tell like a story how it seems from the outside. Is like, so all of a sudden had people maybe forgot that at one point Paul was a bit of an angry guy back in the past, hence why he was moving around from the police, and then your world got turned upside down.
Yeah,
and it's
so
kind of to get an idea of why you channeled so much into the one of the most important, incredible things what you're doing at the moment, you know, which is in the legacy of your brother.
Yeah, I come from a bit of a rough family, a bit of a, like, you know, get stuck in. There's gypsy descendants there, and from my granddad's side, my granddad was a carny. So, you know, he'd have the fairground stuff, and all my uncles could have it, and then that got handed down to the next generation of sons, and the typical, like, I'm hard, so my son's going to be hard, and if you've got sons and I've got beef with you, my son's going to take your son out, and things like that. So I was brought up kind of that way, and me and my brother and my mum, a lot of people said was like Peggy from EastEnders and Phil and Grant, you know.
Awesome.
I'm just lucky I wasn't the shorter one, because my brother did have that one. But don't get me wrong, like, me and my brother my brother went down the drug route. He went down the selling the drugs, and he was a bit of a drug dealer and a bit of a boy in his time, and he was a real handful. He could really have it, you know. And I'd be the
actually lived that life, not like these people that chat that life. He was actually, that was his life. He was involved in bits and bobs and stuff, and comes with,
I remember
obviously
sitting around my brothers when I was like 10, 11 years old, and on a Sunday morning the police knocked on the door, the postman knocked on the door on a Sunday morning saying he's got a parcel and he's signing for it, and it was the feds, you know. I'd open the door and they've all come running in, you know. Like, that was my brother's life. That was how he was. He lived it fast. He had a lot of fun, and he was fairly good at it, you know, until he got caught, you know, and then he wasn't so good at it. But that was his life. I've never done any drugs. I don't even drink. I don't nothing, not really, mate. You know,
I don't drink, mate. I don't drink.
Yeah. I don't do any of that. And like my past was more right. Okay, so I'm IED schizophrenic, and I've got multiple personality disorder. So I was this very young. Yeah, I got diagnosed with this very young, and so my temperament flips between however my environment is. So that's why I've always got to have a positive environment, because if I don't, I'm triggered, and when I'm triggered, like, a different side of me is there, right? So I had all of that growing up, but people used to like lay it away, like, oh, he's just naughty, he's this and that, yeah. So, but it wasn't. I had stuff going on that was undiagnosed for a long time until it was. But I was a very violent person, you know. Before all this knife crime stuff, there was no problems with weapons. I've got a criminal record as long as it's crazy. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
No, I mean, and to be fair, Paul, sorry to butt in there. Like, what we're doing now, this, and no doubt you agree with me. Like, this isn't to try and brag about criminal records. This is to inspire people that are like, especially like this is kind of me taking your message. Is you've had that, but look at where you are now. Do you know what I mean? It isn't exactly going, I've done this, done that, you know.
100%. And this is what I'm saying. I've got a criminal record now that when I had it, yeah, I was like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I was a gunman. I was a tall man. I was everything above. Yeah, violence was number one. But I look back at it then, and it was like, yeah, I got mad respect. I look back at it now, I'm embarrassed. But it's made me who I am today. And because of that, I have that knowledge that I can put forward to people to say, listen, don't, like, I regret it. I regret everything I've done. I've apologized to everybody that I've affected. And And I've done that like on my YouTube channel. I've done that across my lives. And anytime, any other massive platform that I've been on, I always have that opportunity to say, is there anything you could change? I say, I'd change what I've done to people, you know, because I hurt a lot of people physically. And I'm sure mentally as well. A lot of people, I think, but the mental side of it, I understood, and I only understood the mental side of it when I become a victim myself. I was never attacked or anything like that. I become a victim because my brother was killed.
Right.
So that's when I understood what I was
hit you
doing.
fucking hard. It was like
That's when I
like,
understood.
whoa.
That was when I truly understood that if them people have done that to me and I feel this way, what did I do to them? You know, because it wasn't just, oh, I got smacked in the face and like, oh, it's whatever. Yeah, did you see I smacked that guy? It was all a bragging rights thing. It was, I never ever looked at it like, man, that person is like scared to go out. That person's family are like, he's probably gone home and like had a go at his missus, and then the kids have heard it, and it's that ripple effect that goes on where I wouldn't see that because I'm too busy living in my ego. I'm too busy trying to be the man. I'm too busy being a bully. You know, if you want to label it, I was too busy being a bully, because being a bully that was the respect I craved. But that's what I was brought up to believe. That's how I had to be. I had to be a man that was recognized. I had to be a man that was feared. And do you know what it is when I sit back and I had a breakdown and I got put in a mental institution for 2 years, and I was in there and I just thought to myself, as much as this illness is, it don't define me. It doesn't, and this isn't me. Like, it ain't me. And I started putting my energy, not at that point when I was in the institution, I started putting my energy into focusing on what I found, which was tattooing. And that was where I started changing as a person, because I separated myself from crime to a certain extent. And I started putting that energy into, you know, new friends, just new environments, new people, you know. And I've had relationships, I've had broken relationships with women, and they have not been able to control who I was. Yeah. But I couldn't expect anyone to control it, because I couldn't control it.
No.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, absolutely, mate. And like, sorry to like, I've said it quite a lot, like on my podcast and things, and like, well, jokingly before we went live, like my missus has put up with me for 14 years, like, and people, everyone naturally, people laugh, they're like, oh, you know, and it's like, no, hang on a minute, like, and no doubt you probably saw where I was coming from. I fucking struggle with myself. I struggle to put up with myself. I get stuck in a bad place in my head. Nowhere near like the trauma you've been through, but I've had things go on like a lot of people have, but I get, mate, my fucking head plays games on me. Like, and like when you said earlier, like about tattooing, like I've said this before, like when I find that zone, like when I'm like an hour in, a couple of hours into tattooing, and like the nerves are gone and the feeling of being sick's gone, and like I've explained it, and people almost think, fucking hell, he's on fucking something. Like I almost feel like I'm having an out of body experience. I feel like I'm watching myself tattoo.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
And like, obviously I've dabbled in, like at one point my kind of go thing was, and I enjoyed codeine, you know, because again, like I get stuck in my head and I end up in a shitty place, and I just found that for me was not, I was very lucky that I never became addicted to it, but for me at one point it was my way to disconnect from my head, and tattooing did that and some, like naturally, you know. And I thought is incredible, and like kind of obviously, like I said to you at the beginning, like I struggle with myself, like my missus puts up with me, and like, you know, to hear you kind of say this stuff, like, because obviously when I've engaged in one of your podcasts, like generally speaking, like you're doing what I'm doing, and you're the guy that's listening and kind of butting in as polite as you can to kind of elaborate more on that. Like, it's nice to know that there's another person that kind of gets kind of
And
gets
that's
where
the
I'm
most
coming
beautiful
from.
thing about podcasting and meeting people. Listen, I want to say first and foremost, yeah, I'm proud of you for speaking out loud and expressing that out to me and your audience. You know, you'll get a lot of respect for that for sure. Of course, you're going to get some haters that might sit there and say man up or anything like that, but don't. What you are doing is you are showing that you are a man by expressing yourself, and the fact that you're talking out loud about it, I've got nothing but respect for that. And anyone else that's listening, I'm sure they do too. So 100% respect and love for that, mate. And also, don't ever judge yourself on who's worse and who's not when it comes to the mental illness, because brother, I tell you, all that pain comes from one place, yeah, and that's trauma, you see. So no one's trauma is worse than the next, and the fact that you are bold enough to be able to speak out loud will encourage someone that hasn't got it to look at you upon as a role model and to be able to push forward on that. So respect for you for that, man.
Oh, I appreciate it, mate. I appreciate that. It's, yeah, like you say, you know, it's like I don't, like I say, like listening. The thing is, like I don't know about you, but like, so like last week I was lucky enough to have the steak Matt Lemon, you know, Lockside Steakhouse, and like,
Yeah,
and I touched on something like, again, obviously he's from a certain culture. You know, I mean, you know what type of culture is
I love
from,
them
you know,
boys, man. They're my boys.
do you know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
and like I touched on something with him. I was like, look, dude, like you spoke about how like you got bottled, got stabbed, like ran some pubs in some hard places, and then openly and looking the way he does, because obviously me and you, like people from our like the custom culture world, whether it be bikes, tattoos, whatever, like we know that just because we got tattoos, maybe on the face, on the hands, whatever, like we are who we are, doesn't mean we're like this horrible monster. But
yeah.
like knowing that like someone would look at the likes of Matt and like yourself because you got tattoos on your face, and like Matt said, like I went from being bottled, stabbed, to then sitting on the end of my bed years later with my hands in my head, not knowing what's going on. And I was like, mate, that's incredible. Like, because it's incredible that he said that, like, because obviously he's got a past, like you've got a past. And people obviously go, I want to be that dude. He looks scary. He's tough. He's, you know, he's this, that, and everything else. But like you said, and like you said before, like it makes more of a man to be able to stand there and go, but I've also been sat on the end of a bed, scared as fuck. Maybe not scared as fuck, but you know, like shit, what's going on? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Mate, I've been in that position so many times, you know. I've even looked up at a tree and thought of it myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, without a doubt, and you just gotta. Sometimes you just gotta look around you and just think to yourself, do you know what? As hard as it is, there's someone out there that's got it worse. And I woke up today, which means I'm blessed. And so if I've been given the gift of life to wake up in the morning, let's start this day, because yesterday's trouble was yesterday, it ain't today. We've got to still push forward
yeah,
in that. And you know, I'm
yeah,
not saying that your day ain't gonna have the dramas. I'm definitely 100% you're gonna have a drama at least every day. But it's understanding how you can use that drama and turn it around to a positive, because you're in control of the way you go to bed. You're in control of your mind before you go to sleep. You're in control of who you are when you wake up in the morning. You know, and if you allow somebody else to give, if you allow someone else your energy to be able to make you feel the way that you feel when you don't want to continue, take that power back, man.
yeah,
Like seriously, because it don't, like, we can be as positive as we like. So we're still gonna have them hard days for sure. We're
oh
still
mate,
gonna have them hard
100%.
days.
100%. You know, like recently my missus said to me, because obviously I started like trying to find people that I kind of relate to, like, because I mean, I don't know about you, mate, but I couldn't sit, and I know it's wrong to judge a book by its cover, but I don't feel like I can connect with a clean shaved dude, suited, booted, no tattoo type of vibe. I don't feel that that's the type of guy I can kind of, I don't know, like, I think if you got to kind of be able to sit and open up to somebody, or feel that you're connecting with somebody, I think if he's not from your world, like I don't know, I just feel like I can't really connect with people that aren't really got the same type of vibe.
Thing is,
Um,
though, and the reason why you probably have that is, you know, I've had the same thing. You know, I walk into a room where no one looks like me, and it's, you know, the only place I'm going to end up with someone that looks like me is tattoo convention or a bikers meet. You know, so
yeah,
I've walked into restaurants where no one's really tattooed up, and everyone stares at you. It does make you feel uncomfortable, but I look this way. I don't look like a normal person, so everyone will stare.
yeah,
So, you know, I've had, you know, looking the way I do, I've done it to be able to keep people at bay,
yeah,
and, you know, keep people away. but my heart was too big towards the life I live now, that I just want people to come to me because I want to help people. But when I started all of this, it was to keep the people away from me, because they were triggering me. So, you know, I've walked in places and I've been like, what are you looking at? You know, and it like, why wouldn't they look at me? I look totally different to everyone else that's sitting there. So, you know, more for me. And again, apologies for that to anyone if they are listening and I have said that to. I get it now, you know, I get it now because I'm thinking out of a more clearer headspace.
Yeah.
And where, you know, people don't give you the opportunity who's clean laced and that. Like, they just automatically think you're a criminal. They think you're the thing. And the same with your man with a steakhouse. You know, the family that he's from, the worldwide family that he's from, he will always be looked at a certain way anyway. But bro, I was in Marbella at Johnny Marbella's 30th anniversary, of the Hells Angels in Marbella. I was there. There was 300 Hells Angels from all over the show, from all over the world, bro. They all treat me like I was family. I've never felt so comfortable in all of my life, you know. And I would rather be there with them than standing in a restaurant and everyone stare at me. But I've got to expect that from me because I've got to expect that because I look the way I look. And if I was to think that anyone ain't gonna look at me like I'm you know, a worse name or stupid or a fool or anything, I'm stupid to think that they wouldn't think that about me.
Yeah, no, that's it, and it's for sure is that. So like, kind of going back to like, obviously, I think one of the most important messages of all of what. At what point did you, before you started, obviously looking down to raise awareness? At what point did you start to? Because the hardest part was having a word with yourself. Like at what? And I can imagine that was probably the hardest part was to look at yourself and go, I've got to sort myself out. Like,
it all starts with yourself, mate. Listen,
yeah,
how can you
mate.
expect anyone to love you or respect you if you don't love yourself? You know, and
Yeah.
that's no ego thing. That's like, you have to find out who you are to start attracting what you need, what you're supposed to have. Be what you attract, and it's really, you know, all of this version of me all come from not being able to do what I promised my family I was going to do when my brother died. I had all this in me and I had nowhere to get it out. And the only way I could have got it out is through, like, I don't know whether you want to reach onto that part of the story yet, but
no, mate, you go wherever you want to go, mate.
So when my brother was killed, my mission from my family was, you make sure that you do to them what they've done to your brother. So
okay.
I was out in, and anyone want to hear my story in depth, go on my channel, you'd see it. It's all in there. Go to the bottom. My stories are on there 1 to 9. But I was fixated on killing this person. I didn't realize there were 4 people that was involved with killing my brother. And so I was on missions, you know. My sole purpose was to kill these people that killed. And at that time in my life, I was very ready and able to be able to do this. I was hunting. I was on a clock to race against the police to be able to make this happen. And you know, there is testimonies from the police that state that they was going head to head with me trying to find these people, that they got to them before I did, because my sole purpose was murder, and that is exactly what I was going to do when I saw him. You know, unfortunately, only one of them was got injured in the process of this, but no one ever got arrested or anything for that. So I don't know who it was that done that. But one of the people that did stab my brother got stabbed himself twice, and you know, he ended up down the hospital. I found out he went down the hospital after the stabbing. I heard whereabouts he was. I've gone down the hospital to go down there and you know, finish the job, you know, like slit his throat. But I got down there, and when I got down there, there was just police everywhere. Outside the room was empty. I've undone the door. As I've undone the door, all these police come rushing out. They were all sitting in there around his bed and that, and they was like, "What are you doing down here?" I said, "Oh, I've come to pick up my friend from work, you know." And they was like, "No, you're lying." And then I ended up, there was someone that come walking down who I knew, and I was like, "Oh, you're right, mate. How you doing?" He's gone, "Yeah, Paul, are you good?" And I was like, yeah. I said, are you ready? And I'm looking at him like, are you ready?
Yeah.
And he's like,
yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I said, see, I told you. And they said, Paul, leave the hospital now. So I was like, yeah. I said, come with me. So I ended up kidnapping this geezer from his work and saying, like, you need to come with me. I've got to take you with me. So I ended up driving around the back of the hospital, dropping him off, and he had to run back because he was on shift. He was supposed to pick up a person and take him down to X-ray or something, but I had to take him away with us, you know. But you know, like I went through this madness of just anger and aggression, where once they were all arrested, I had nowhere to place it, and it was eating me up. It was eating me, and I didn't know what to do with it. I really didn't know what to do with it. You know, I was 1 minute I'm hunting 24 hours a day, every single day, trying to find these killers, and I'm ready to go. But I'll tell you something though, man, the amount of people that was wrapped around me that was capable of being able to give it all the large, when it actually come down to it, and I listen, I can at the time I didn't get it, but at the time now I understand why they didn't get it, because not everyone's a killer, right?
Yeah.
Or you can be a killer if something happens to you bad enough, right?
Yeah.
So I was wrapped around all these people that are like, yeah, I'll die for you, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then when it come for, they knew that I was going out to kill people, everyone melted, mate. I was on my own.
Yeah.
I was on my own, and I was okay with it, you know. At first I was angry with them as well, and I was like, wait until I've dealt with this, I'm going to come for you lot as well. But I understand now that why would I put someone through like a 20-year plus sentence, and their families feeling all of the hate and the sorry that they got kids, they got everything, and I was willing to let them go to jail with me, you know. And it was just, that was selfish of me, but like I said, I didn't see it at the time.
No, but why would you? You know, at the end of the day, you've just experienced something that obviously.
Mate, I would have rid out. I would have rid out for them. If it had happened to them, I would have been in the front seat with them. I would have been the driver. Do you know? At that time in my life, I would have been the first one there with them. You know. So
do you think that was down? Obviously, like, as you mentioned before, obviously, like the conditions you have. Do you think that a lot of that, like the fact that there is no in between, there is flat out or nothing? Do you think that that's one of the biggest things, unknowing probably at that time?
Yeah, there was a large part of my life where I had no control over the what was going on in my body. Like 1 minute it's me there, next minute I don't know what's happening. It's something else, you know. It took me a long time to understand schizophrenia and how it works. And you know, I'm still learning now, because I get new triggers, I get new tics, I get new it's just new. The meds don't work, you know, like, or anything like that, or I can't take the meds because I think they're out to get us, you know. The government's out to get me. The FBI are watching.
No, and that's it. Like, you know, it's like, that's why, like, obviously I think that obviously we have to touch on like the harder side of it, to not just show that you were able to bring yourself away from making them decisions that would have changed your life completely and you wouldn't be sat here now, but also to kind of, at the end of the day, like, I kind of touched back on tattooing, right? So my first tattoo, I got 13 and 7 in the dice, right, on my stomach, and spanners, right? And I was 18 when I got it done, so it's like, it's 14 years old, the tattoo. And people back then were saying to me, obviously growing up in Spain, the Spanish didn't really understand that style of tattoos, and they were like, Josh, why have you had that done? I'm like, how do you know if you're lucky if you've never experienced bad luck, or vice versa? You know, and I, unfortunately, I am one of them people that have to go to silly levels to go to, like, nearly ending up in places that I shouldn't be, like nearly losing my family for stupid decisions, to understand that I have to go to extremes. Like, I'm difficult that way. Like, and I think obviously you're similar. You know, it's like, and that's what I mean. Like, that's why I think it's important to kind of touch on how extreme your life was, to kind of, and now the inspiring bit of your story is like, how did you bring yourself back after obviously the dudes got put to prison, you obviously were then stuck there? Because like, you hear all these inspiring people on social media and they tell their stories, and they're great stories, but I feel that there's a lack of, what about the bad days? Not that we want to hold the bad days and encourage the bad days, but I want to hear how people pick themselves up from a bad day or from a dark place to change the direction, because I can imagine that bit's the hardest bit, you know. I don't
Man,
know.
I come from a long. I can understand why people never believed in me as a success, especially when I've come today. You know, I got expelled from every school I went to. I ended up at a naughty boys school that I was only allowed to go to for 3 hours. They turned around and said, "I'll be very surprised if I don't see you in prison for life. You ain't never going to be nothing." I used all of that and I put it to us. Yeah, my spelling's not great. You've received messages from me. My spellings ain't great. My reading ability is slow. Yeah.
I'm the same, mate.
Yeah. So, you know, academically, not a chance in this world. You give me something physical and I'll smash the hell out of it, you know? So, so I guess that was a drive for a lot of, you know, the success. I run my own businesses, you know, I've got multiple businesses. I run them very well. And I'm able to manage that without an education. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to school and just go and set up yourself, because school for some you know industries that you go in is important. So, you know, stay focused and concentrate on what you're doing. But, you know, for me, I was my drive, and I always wish that my teachers would just come to me as an adult and just turn around and say, I only said that because I see that you had a heart of a lion and that you'd do well, but this was the only way that it was going to sink into you. I wish they'd say that, but they didn't. They
No.
genuinely meant that I was going to be a scummy
Yeah,
nobody.
because they're brainwashed, mate. They're brainwashed. Like, you and I know that. Like, you know, like I mean, sorry to interrupt there. Like, I'm the same. Like, I don't have an education to give my kids, right? And this is like one thing I've learned from my podcasting is I sit here talking in front. They only see the back of a computer and they see a bit of sellotape on a webcam, and they're like, but if this is what I have to show them, the fact that, oh, your dad might have only got a small handful of reach and audience, and obviously I have to say that to them, because obviously, as you know, we got kids that engage in YouTube, and that numbers mean something to them. But
Yeah,
if all I have to show my two kids is, yeah, your dad's only had 10 people on, or might have only got 100 followers in 3 months, whatever, right? But if I can show them that, look, watch me carry on, watch, if that's what I have to give them, then that's worth something, right? You know,
the legacy, bro.
do you know what I mean?
It's the legacy.
It's
The fact that, listen, me and you are giving away something that we can never get back, and that's time. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, you know, we worry so much about like whether we get a stain on our clothes or our trainers and that lot, and we waste so much time in that. But the time that we waste worrying about that, we ain't never going to get back. So if I can waste time educating someone that crime does not pay, and you know, learn how to manifest yourself and love yourself, man, I'll die happy, you know, because like that's time well spent as far as I'm
But
concerned. So
don't you think it's crazy how simple, like, how, you know, how would they say, how would be the best way to say it, is like, but they say that thinking of yourself before others is selfish, right? But then, like, I said to my missus recently, I was like, if you don't think of yourself within reason, like, if you don't invest in yourself, how can you give the best version of yourself to the people that you care about? So technically, is it selfish? You know,
yeah,
it just shows you how the manipulation of society that want to control, that want you to, you know, that want to put you in a school, like the teachers, and they would have said to you, dude, you're going to succeed and stand as what you believe. Like, I realized recently, like, a man that comes politically correct in meaning in life, not in politics, like that stands by what he means, that has morals, that has dignity, that has the right values as a man, that's able to talk, especially like how you do, is a dangerous man. Not physically through this, but he can motivate fellow men and get them to stand up. You know, there's a reason why masculinity is now starting to be frowned upon more, because men stood correctly for what they believe in are dangerous. Not, you know what I mean? Not literally. Do you know? It's, I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking.
no, mate, 100%. I mean, you know, I was always brought up a man will take care of his responsibilities by using his fists and his anger, and that was the way that you are a man. And anything beneath that is cowardly. So, you know, like you stand and fight, and that's how it is. But it was always a physical attribute. But for me now, my stand and fight is verbally, and I don't mean I'm going to stand there and shout at you, like,
No.
you know, like until you understand or hear me. I will use my energy and my power to be able to put good out there and have it manifest in a way that I feel that I can be happy with myself from that point. You know, it's like you said, how can you fix a broken person by being broken yourself? You know,
Yeah.
you have to be able to, you know, but listen, if it weren't for all this stuff that happened to me, and if it wasn't for the life I've lived, and if it wasn't for the industry that I'm in, like, bro, I wouldn't even be the person I am today, you know. And I can't not I can't not be grateful for who I am and for what's happened to me, even in the pain, you know, because like my brother died, and I will never ever let his death be for nothing.
No.
His legacy will live on through the positive that I will put out in this world. And if I can change one person's life, make one person just put down a knife, like just something, or make one person really look into themselves and start to see who they are as a person and start to love themselves, and they start manifesting positive in their life. And like I say, they're in control of the way they go to sleep. They're in control of the way that their day ends. You know, it's up to you as a person. And if I can help someone understand that, well, I'm living.
We have Jasmine Stansby, who said, I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for you. And she's commented on Instagram. I'm guessing the relation of yours of some same surname, Jasmine Stansby.
Yeah, Jasmine. That's my sister.
Awesome, yeah. And obviously she's felt the same pain, you know, and obviously that's incredible. Like she said, you know, she obviously respects like a brother. I mean, are you a bigger, younger?
Yeah. I'm younger than her, but she's bigger than me.
But no, it's you know,
simply like, love, mate.
And that's why I kind of I did mention earlier, like how did you manage to let the anger go? And like obviously, because obviously we haven't even got to the chat like what you're actually now doing. Like that's even incredible. But like how did you manage to? Because I think that's so important as well too. Because that was a hard U-turn, man.
Listen, I'm not angry. Do you know what I mean? I'm not angry, but
no, you're probably angry every day, and that's probably the secret to half of it. You know, they do say I'm sorry to interrupt there, but they say some people are like that angry that they're just motivated and can't stop.
Exactly that. Listen, I'm not angry. I'll always live in hatred for these people, and I will always be angry at the way that my family has turned out because of these. It's changed. My family is completely a different family now. It's very different. My mum is not the same person she once was. She's just a shell in the body, you know. It's like I will always hate these people, but I will never let them control how my hatred is exposed out to people. You know, I never let them have that control over me. So I will be angry forever, but the way that I will manifest that out will be positive. So that anger keeps me alive to keep pushing for the legacy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which is incredible. I mean, and I can imagine there are days where it's harder, you know, where like, and then obviously, and I mean, I've said about like even kind of maybe the wrong word to use, but like I say about passion, I'm like passion. I realized recently, especially with the podcast, passion only comes in on the day that you don't want to do it. When you've had a good day and the engagement's been great, you're so excited that you don't see the passion. And I can imagine it's somewhat the same with like everyone's so focused on the great things you're achieving, but like for you, your mission is probably more noticed on the day that you feel shit. I can imagine, you know, like when you're like, do you know what, I fucking hate everything. Like,
do you know what? Like, I want to be able to hate everything I do, but I can't, because it's like the drive is just too real. Do you know? Like, I absolutely get where you're coming from, and I really do. But everything I do in my life now has a purpose, where before it never. You know, I tattooed because I loved it. I go to the gym because it helps with my anger. You know, I do the charity stuff because my brother was murdered. But now everything has a purpose. Do you know what it is? One day I was sitting at my mum's house. I was in the garden. It was hot, and I was just sitting there, and I wasn't having a good day. I was very quiet, and I was just flicking through Instagram, and I come across a guy called Shangri Guru. You ever heard of him?
The name rings a bell, but
he's an Indian guy. He's a guru, and he started talking, and for some reason his voice mesmerized me to listen to.
Is he the guy that was talking to Mike Tyson on stage?
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
And he turned around and said, when you're in a competition, and do you want to be first or second? And the person said, I'd want to be first. He said, would you be happy with being first? And he goes, yeah, of course. He goes, so you would find happiness that someone comes second? And they were like, yeah. They said, that's not a success, that's an illness. The fact that you find joy in someone's failure is an illness. And
That's
that
crazy.
it got me. And
That's fucking crazy.
then at the end of that, it publicized his book called Karma. Now I link with karma, yeah, because I'm like, I've always been karma. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be your karma. But I always looked at karma as being a negative thing, and that, like, I want to just tell you that karma's coming your way, yeah. And that was me, right? So I never understood that karma was actually supposed to be a positive thing, because karma is what you make it, right? Karma means you're a karma person, right? So it was all about understanding manifestation. And that, once I understood manifestation, so like I said, I can't read, so I downloaded audiobook. I got this book on audio, and I sat there, and it took me a week to listen to this book. I sat in the bath, I turned the lights off, I let it run, and I just sat in there whilst listening to this book, this geezer. And everything just, I think it was the right time in my life to hear somebody else speak to me. Yeah, I was ready to listen to something. And I didn't know what it was, but thankfully it was this book, because this book saved me as a human being. This book was everything to me. And anyone that listen, you listen to every one of my podcasts that I've done, I always recommend this book. Always recommend this book, because this book saved my life. And then once I understood how to manifest, and that I'm in control of my day, I'm in control of myself, I'm in control of the outcome, I'm in control of the people that surround me. And if you want to give me bad karma, it's my choice to be able to turn your negativity into positivity. So if you're coming at me and shouting at me, I could go away and I could be angry. I could go home, I could shout at my kids, shout at my wife, I can shout at the people at work, or I could just be like, fair enough, mate, no problem, I've heard what you're saying. And then I'll just have a nice day, and I'll go off, and then I'll just be like, right, he said this, I'm going to start thinking to myself, right, do I need to change that about me? Have I really pissed that person off? Have I got to do it? And I start understanding who I am. And that's how come I started loving who I was. And because of that, I was able to be able to, all that anger for murder that I had trapped in me, and it was just going around in me, and it was going around in me, and I had no way of getting out. By the time I'd done the book, it was all gone.
It's incredible. I mean, that's insane. Like, and then the thing is like literally what you said, like, that's just stuck in my head. Like, so you would rather feel better knowing that someone's lost? It's fucking, like, literally just that for me. Like, wow, like, fuck, like, yes, like, how, and it's even kind of even somewhat resembles like what I said about, like, we're told that by thinking of ourselves first is selfish, and it's like, well, it's not, because if you, it's crazy, isn't it? It's fucking crazy. It's almost, it's like, it's the systems deliberately put someone else first. Don't think of yourself. Don't, like, make, and it ties up with the winning is more important than someone else winning. Like, it's.
I'm telling you, mate, all these people that they try and say that can't succeed in anything, autism, dyslexia, number dysplasia, mate, I've got it all, yeah? They turn around and they say to them, these are the people that will be a success, trust me. And do you know why? It's because they see past the screens. Like, you can't look right when you walk past that door, you can't look left, and it's like, well, I'm curious, I'm having a look. These are the ones that they try and kick out of school. These are the ones that they try and, you know, put in a box and try and throw them in jail. Because listen, you see these people out here committing crimes, these drug dealers and things like that. I was literally said on a podcast, I podcasted season 2. I'm on season 2 right now. I'm in the middle of filming. I podcasted a female gang member, and I turned around and said, these guys that are on the street, and they've got little runners, they're dealing with money, they're dealing with consumption, they're dealing with phone calls, they're dealing with complaint calls, they're dealing with everything. Put them into a legal business, they will smash it. These are bossing it. If they can run a team under stress, with like the pressure of police and going to jail and losing your life or anything, these guys, they just need some love to be able to guide them in the right place to be able to change their life. It worked for me, mate. You know what I mean? And it wasn't guidance from someone specifically, because like I said, I come from a family that we fight before we talk, you know, and that's just the way it was. And I'm not saying I had a bad life. My mum was amazing. Like, I had a very good childhood. I was like, I had all the best energy around me when it come to playing out in the wild, climbing trees, you know, conkers, you know, like all of it, mate. You know, I had it all, curbsies, the works, mate. But, you know, knock and run, like all of it. I had it all. It was the best childhood. But I didn't have all of the glory. I didn't have all the fancy toys. I didn't have the fancy clothes. I didn't have that. But listen, we're told that we're supposed to have all this fanciness. Like, we're told.
Yeah.
It brings it back to what you're just saying. We're supposed to be able to beat the Joneses next door. We're supposed to have the best car, you know, and all of this is a financial struggle at the end of the day, because how are you supposed to keep up in the economic crisis that we're having, as well as pay the bills and the electric? And do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we are set up as humans to fail, especially in the UK.
100%, mate. 100%. And it's, you know, like I can relate so much to all that. Like, fucking, like, yeah, mate. Like, fucking times are hard. You know,
Brother, I'm telling you,
like,
once I read this book, not only did my anger go, but my obsession for shiny things left me.
Yeah.
Once I started looking inside my soul, I was dressing in designer gear, wearing like just everything expensive. I had the Rolex watches, the Lamborghini. You look back on my, I'm not talking, you can look back on my story and see all my cars on there. I had the Lamborghinis, the Bentley GTs. I had literally everything that you could possibly dream of, but it wasn't me, mate. I was trying to look this way because everyone expected me to be this way, and I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. So I wear my own clothing brand now. I don't wear like loads of designer gear. I don't have like no watches, no nothing. This was a gift. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't buy. You know, I don't have none of that. You know, and it was all understanding how to manifest who I am that allowed me to open doors I never knew was possible. And now, because of that, I'm more focused on helping people than I am on my own personal image, because I have to look a certain way.
Yeah. And obviously, like, it's like, obviously, like where you say, like looking back at like how your brain perceives things, like it's almost like at one point it was, oh fucking hell, Paul's got this, we need to understand this, we need to understand that. But it's like unknowingly a gift. Like, it's, you know, like I said to Matt the other week, like, would you have ever been able to succeed in what you've achieved with your Lockside Steakhouse franchise if you hadn't have experienced the physical pain of being attacked? Like, it's unknowingly it's like I mean, I'll be completely honest, Paul. Like, right now, I'm finding it hard, like a lot of people. And like my missus said to me the other day, she was like, "But how much are we going to appreciate when the next pay packet comes in?" You know, it's like, fuck. Like, I mean, you know, I find it tiring because I'm like getting up, I work days and night shifts. You know, I've started tattooing again. I'm learning how to do this stuff, and like, and I walk out my flat and my neighbours don't work. You know, there's a pit car, like we spoke about in the messages the other day. You know, I'm like, fuck, it's hard. You know, and what I tell you, what really upsets me, and it isn't resentment, it's the fact that, like, how can I turn around to my kids in this bullshit way of society and say, son, go to school, work your hardest and try your hardest, and you're going to succeed? Because I can't lie to my kids. And that's what hurts me. It isn't the fact that my neighbors live a fucking free life. Not really. Like, it's really like, how can I lie to my fucking kids? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't do it, mate. And this is hence why I said earlier, like, if this is what I have to offer them, your dad being a waffler that's getting excited in the corner of the front room talking to someone that's inspiring the world, that's what I have to offer them. At least I'm fucking real, you know? And I just get excited. I appreciate it. Like,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Like, there's so many people I know. Listen, I know people that have been given trust funds, and they're just mad on the coke. They're just bashing it away because they've been given it. They haven't earned it, so they can't respect it. Listen, if you follow my stories, you see my son is 4 years old. He comes to work with me on a Saturday. When he on school holidays, my son will be in the tattoo studio with me learning a trade. Yeah, that's what I can give my child.
Yeah,
I can give him that. I can give him wisdom, and I can give them the experience that I have had out of my life, and hope that he can find his way in a positive way. And you know, listen, we all gonna find a little bit of trouble along the way. We all are. That's just we're just human, you know. But I'm gonna make sure that as my son grows up, he's watching what would be his legacy, you know. And because of that, I'm hoping that like that will rub off correctly on them, you know, and they're guided the right way. But listen, I'm not leaving my kids houses and money and like just loads of fancy things. I'm not, because my journey of that is over. Like I'm here, I'm gonna spend my money, I'm gonna live the way I live, and it's all gonna be good for my soul, you know. And you know, people, man, like people are saving for retirement. People ain't even living to retirement anymore. Like,
I know, mate.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to work my ass off for 65 years and then die before I get to spend it. No, I'm spending my money now, and if I haven't got none tomorrow, then I haven't got none tomorrow. It's really that simple.
100%, mate. It's like my missus said, you know, I want to move back to Spain. She was like, can't wait till the kids are old. I'm like, look, obviously, I moved to Spain when it was still pesetas. You know, I was 9 years old and moved there. Like I said to her, I was like, I saw so many people coming over mid-50s. Fuck please. I mean, I've had 3 operations on my right knee already. And I'm like, I don't want to be one of them English dudes with a big beer belly crackling around all fucked. I said, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I'm not chasing. I said to her, I would rather be skint in a country like that.
Yeah.
And be skint here, like,
because the morals are different. Here we're hunting for the rich. They're hunting for the free time.
Yeah, like and that's it. And obviously, and that's not a complete dig at the British mentality. It's at the end of the day, lack of vitamin D. The sun, like you go in your garden, you might be hanging your washing out. At the end of the day, first of all, you wouldn't have been hanging it out if it was raining. So second of all, because it ain't raining and you're hanging it out, you've all of a sudden spoke to your neighbour that you ain't spoke to for 3 weeks. You know, so it isn't the fact that English are necessarily directly more unapproachable than Spanish. It's the fact that the weather just enables that opportunity so much. You know, it's so like with how much, like with the charities, like how well is that going? Obviously, I've seen that I saw that piece you put out from ITV the other day. Like that was incredible. You know, with the heart defibrillators, like how is this all? You know, how have you been able to keep this going and leveling up? Like, how's that?
Pain, mate. Pain, absolute pain. Like I said, my brother won't die in vain. As long as I've got oxygen in my body, everyone will know that my brother didn't die because of what they said he was, or because of what the newspapers tried to portray him as. My brother died because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I will make sure that for the rest of my living days, that his legacy will move on to breed positive into the community. You know, me and my brother we were never saints, and that's why I ended up naming my son Saint. You know, we were never saints. We were misfits of the environment that we lived in, and because of that, you know, we went down different paths. And my brother ended up with an addiction, and he went to a new drug line to get his drugs for the night. And that unbeknownst to him, that drug line was supposedly meant to be getting robbed by a local gang. And because my brother was a new face to the line, they thought that he was a part of the gang, so they come out and they attacked. And because of that, he ended up losing his life. And like I say, I went through a lot of troubled times at that time trying to hunt these people, and I was in such a negative space that. Because
hello,
both of the screens went black. Are we still active?
Yeah, we're still here, mate. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that.
All right. Sorry, man. And because of that book, allowed me to be able to turn this negative into a positive and see things a different way. And when I say see things a different way, it went from murder to survival. Like I wanted to help save people. So the legacy literally transformed. So I started putting out my message on how I felt with it. So if I could visually show people that I know how people view me, I know how they see me, I know how I've been sinned within my past, but if I can show them that this person that they thought was a tough character or whatever it is that they feel about me, if I can show them that I'm just human and it hurts, it really hurts, and because of my mistakes of feeling this way, I'm able to apologize and to try and do good, that it could help start changing things. And then this went on for a while, and I was getting people messaging me saying thank you for like just being able to speak out loud, like when I applauded you for speaking out loud about the way that you felt. And I then started thinking, well, I can change a lot of people. I can change a lot of people. I can save people here. Like, this is when I can start moving forward and changing the mindset of these youngsters or anyone, whether no matter what age they are or sex or nationality. I can help change people. And I needed to look for the next thing, and that's when these emergency bleed control kits come into play, because you know, a couple of people after my brother was stabbed, they were stabbed too, and they'd lost their lives as well. And it was something as simple as pressure on a couple of these people that could have saved their life, you know, like pressure on a wound. So I started thinking, and I started looking into things, and we come across these emergency bleed control kits, and the stuff that's inside the control kits are stuff that the army have put together in like explosive situations where, you know, limbs are like blown clean off, and these kits are there to help save people. So we started looking into these kits, and we was like, do we need permission to put these up? And we weren't sure. No one seemed to have known. So I thought, well, let's just get one and put it outside the shop. So we got one, put it in. Then the newspapers contacted us, and they was like, oh, we've seen what you've done. And then we never had no like backlash from the council. We never had nothing saying, oh, you can't put that up there. So that's when I figured out the loophole, that there's nothing that they can do about it, because as long as you've got permission from the people that you put the boxes on, there's nothing no one can do about it. Nothing. So with that, we're now at box number 56 that we've got out in the community.
Wow.
And that's just in our town. We've got 3 in the town next to us, where my sisters and my nephews and that lot grew up in, as well as myself. I've got 4 out in London. We've got 3 in Hastings. We've got 1 going over to Aaron Lambo's in Marbella, up in the East Club. And yeah, I've still got another 15 boxes in the shop waiting to go out. So yeah, we literally smashed the town. I want to make the town, our town that we're growing up in, as well as any other town. If we can help out there, then we will. But our town, my children grow up here.
Yeah.
Other people, my customers' children and families grow up here. I've got to do everything I can to make sure that they are going to be as safe as I possibly can. And if someone dies and one of my kits could have saved them, and I never done it, man, yeah. I think it would have broke me even more. So yeah, our town is a lot more safer because of it. You know, a lot of the affiliated kids that are out there and kids that are committing crimes, they give us a lot of respect. When they see us, they say thank you. When my children are out and they're out playing, they say, oh, your dad's the guy that puts the kits in. Respect. If you have any problems, let me know. Do you know what I mean? It's recognized not only by the kids that are actually causing this, it's recognized by, you know, people that are of the high life, people of the low life, people that are in the middle. Like, it's recognized everywhere, and it's accepted, and it's acknowledged, and it's it's well respected within our community, and I'm just thankful that we're able to do it. But it all comes from pain.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's fucking, like you say, obviously your brain you have to be 100%, like you have to be 100 mile an hour, and obviously you've been able to fucking grab this fucking by the fucking horns and just bang, I've got it. It's incredible. Like it really is incredible. I mean, are you guys doing anything with like educating the groups that are involved, unfortunately are involved in this culture as well? Have you been able to kind of
so what we do now is we go out to schools. We're going out to schools, we chat to schools, we do colleges, we do youth clubs. I go out there and I do the talks. We've just EAS Medical, I put a message out there and saying like, look, we need to start training people how to use our kits that are out in the community, because although they are pretty self-explanatory and they're quite easy, it's still nice to be able to have that training. So now we're trying to get it into schools. We're now giving out free first aid to everyone.
which you did at the truck event.
Man,
the other week,
we done the truck
cool
event, Fox Fest.
Yeah.
That was absolutely amazing. But bro, it all started. I had an inkling. I was sitting in the gang affiliated area, and there was a kid that lost his life due to gang culture. And I was there, and a few of his members that turned up for the installation of the box. And I was sitting there chatting to them, and they were real nice kids. You know what I mean? Like young men. They were real nice young men. And they were like, I said, usual carry, and they were like laughing, and they were like, yeah, like nah, and then they look at each other, and you know, I get it, I've been myself, you know, but I turned around and said to you, I said, you're willing to do what's right for the person standing next to you? And they're like, yeah. I said, what, you go jail, die? And they're like, yeah, of course. I said, so you're all willing to die, you're all willing to go to jail for life for each other? And they're like, yeah. I said, does anyone know how to save each other's life? Do you know how to save the person's life next to you? And they were like, they just looked at each other, and they were like, no. And that was that. I turned around and said, right, how can you go out of your way to take a life, go to prison for life, but you don't know how to save the person next to you? I don't want to stand next to you in a row. Like, if someone's going to take me out, I want the person who's got my back to be able to save my life, not get my life taken, you know. So then we started with integrating the first aid, and now we're just trying to get it out. The Fox Fest that we was invited to, that was our first attempt of it going out there, and it was a massive success.
I mean, your live stream was awesome. Like, to sit and watch like what you were doing was incredible.
Yeah, man, that was like, to me, that was when I realized just how successful this has become with the community, because a lot of people that were down there don't normally go to Fox Fest, but they've come down for the free first aid training, just bring their kids down and stuff. And the lorries and everything was a plus for them. But it was just so rewarding seeing such young, like as young as 3 years old, like taking part in this procedure. And that's something that will stay in their life forever. They'll remember that, you know. And because of that, as they get older, hopefully we'll be in their schools and they get to run it a second time as they get older with a little bit more knowledge. It'll be a lot more positive. So yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. And do you know what's so cool about all this, Paul, is regardless like all the fake shit that's going on, like people on social media like living this fake life and all that, like, or whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever they're doing, like people can relate to you, because like you can't fake real shit. Like your heartache, your fucking experiences, like, and I think regardless of how advanced technology is and like how easy it is to get a supercar on credit, like no one at the heart of it, the people actually really care, you know. Like,
mate, I spent so much
shit,
of my life, man, just like hunting for this shiny. I was like, when I earn a certain amount, I'm gonna get a Rolex. When I get this, I'm gonna get the Lamborghini. I'm gonna get the designer gear. Everything that I thought that I needed in my life, when I got it, I didn't want it.
And that's for everybody.
The buzz was the chase. Once I got it, it was nothing to me. It was like, oh, I don't want this. I got a Rolex sitting in a safe at a jewelry shop. Do you know what I mean? Like, just keeping it safe for us, like, because it's an investment. The Lambo, I think, how long did I own the Lambo? Like 2 months or so. It was like 2 months. I couldn't get in and out. Do you know what I mean? It was like, the Bentley in that, like I had that for, it was just sitting on the driveway. Sorry, so I was talking about the Bentley. It was just sitting on the driveway, and like I of course I wanted a Ferrari, I wanted the Lambo, I wanted a Rolls Royce, whatever. Do you know, I wanted it all. But the chase was what I thought, because I saw like success was through shiny things. That when I actually got it, I was not happy. And the real success is in the happiness, you know. My real success is when I look at my children, they look at me, and I can see that they love me and they're happy with what I'm doing. That's the success, you know. And when I see parents out there that come up to me and thank me for helping put knowledge into their children to help save their life, you know, like, you got to remember there's a lot of parents out there that see what we do that don't understand what we're doing, and it's like, I'm taking time away from my family, my children, to be able to help your children survive, you know. And you know, you get the odd people that sit there and go, I brought my children up correct.
Listen, all right, mate. Listen, you don't know what the fuck your kids doing outside that door.
Mate, I'm telling you, that everyone is hunting the lifestyle because they think it's cool. It's safer to be in a gang, but it really isn't. But as you get older, acknowledgement comes from that, maturity comes.
I honestly, Paul, one of my biggest fears, mate. My eldest son is 13, and like one of my biggest fears is obviously I walk down the street and I see the Jack the Lads fucking vaping, like giving it the walk, and it terrifies me, the idea of my son being like that. And like it's every now and again, I try my best, and every now and again he will give me the "what are you gonna do?" and I'm like, look, and that's right. So I take a moment. I'm like, look, son. I said, you hide behind a law thinking that I can't chastise you. I was like, yeah. I was like, right. I said one of the most surveillance cities in the world is London. Happens to have one of the biggest knife crimes. I said, do you think them 15-year-old kids that are walking around with that same mentality because they thought that their dad couldn't give them a slap? Not that I agree with it. Not that I'm encouraging that. I said, where was the law then when their friend or they got? Do you know what I mean? I tell this to him. I'm like, look, son, don't assume because I can't touch you that all of a sudden you grow up with that mentality and you're going to go out on the street and conduct yourself in a manner like that. I said, don't be that person, And I think there's just a lack of that. I think obviously, unfortunately, and in life it's balance, isn't it? So obviously, unfortunately, these laws were brought in because there were certain parents that were treating their kids inappropriately. However, the knock-on effect is now that you've got 15-year-old kids that walk around that won't think twice of looking at the biggest, scariest dude. It's
Mate, it's not even that now, man. There was two 11 or 12-year-olds the other day, like chopped up a 19-year-old and killed him. Do you know what I mean? Like 11,
crazy.
12, like 12 years old. Like, what what is going through your brain at 12 years old? Do you know what it is? I know I can say that because like that stuff was going through my head. That went through my head. But now we're in a day and age where that shouldn't even be like it shouldn't even be that way. They brought out that new law where they're trying to bring out the new law where they've just done like I think it was like 4 million or something that they're going to put facial recognition cameras in London to help work out whether that person's a knife carrier or something like that. I got a phone call. I was on the BBC for this, and I turned around and said, I said to them, like, if you got the only way facial recognition would work is if you banned balaclavas within that area. Any facial coverings you'd ban within that area, because if they turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I've got to put facial recognition," and I'm a criminal, I'm gonna bally up and I'm gonna walk through that part where there's facial recognition. You ain't gonna know it's me because I'll be balled up and you wouldn't even think. But they're not thinking that. They're like sitting there going, "Oh, here are public. We're gonna make it safer."
And do you know what? And do you know what? Obviously, sorry to interrupt there. Like at the end of the day, if they interrupt it, if they banned covering your face up, and we're not going to dive into that route properly. But then where do we stand in the Muslim community? So it will never work because,
mate, exactly that.
Do you know what I mean?
Now listen, you're right. If you go onto my podcast channel and look and go back down to England's notorious bank robber of London, there's a guy called Anthony Roberts, right? Now, this is what I'm saying, right? If they ban balaclavas, and I'm saying religions, I get it. I understand you've got to do that, but the facial recognition ain't going to work because my mate, who was a notorious bank robber, Anthony Roberts, and his story's on my YouTube channel. He was robbing banks, armed robbing banks in burqas. They were looking for 2 Muslim women, but it was 2 men in there. So if they ban balaclavas and they allow, you're going to go and commit a crime.
Absolutely,
you're going to commit the crime. Like, it's not smart.
And what's crazy, right? And this is, I mean, this says a lot. I think obviously, like a good leader is willing to get out of their office and get dirty, right? The old Bill and the fucking government, they hide behind a fucking gated street, a public street. So that says a lot about the shit that's coming out of their mouth. I've said this loads of times. The only honest man that ever stepped foot in the House of Parliament was fucking Guy Fawkes. He set off to do one thing and got stopped. Like, I lack education in the respect. I don't really know what I'm talking about. But however, we all know the story. The dude's fucking tried to blow the place up. He's the only honest dude that ever stepped foot in there with true intentions and got stopped. These fuckers are coming out with these things, out with these ideas. £4 million to do something like that. And you know more about this than me because you're invested in time into the awareness and you've got stats a lot more than I have. Like, you know better than I do. It ain't gonna fucking work, and I know that. And like, it's fucking ridiculous,
Yeah.
like
and
say,
I every time they bring out this new law, I just think, and then what they do, right, is they do this. They go, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to make knife crime sentencing a little bit more stiffer. And I was like, okay, what are you going to do about gun crime then? And they go, what do you mean? And so every time a law changes, the BBC ring me up and I have this radio interview or TV interview, right? So they go, well, I don't understand what you mean. I said, right, okay, so if you make carrying a knife, the same sentence as carrying a gun, what am I going to carry? I'm going to go get a gun. I'm going to go get a gun.
Carry a gun. Of course you are.
So if you increase the prison sentence on a knife, you therefore have to increase the prison sentence on a gun to make it not an equal decision. Do I get a knife? But that person now going to carry a gun. So no, you're going to go and get a gun. So the next thing that we're looking at is guns in the youth. So like if they don't like, when like we just literally went over the whole camera facial recognition, we're going to find a way around that. It's no problem. And if you up the rate, the prison sentence of carrying a knife, you have to then up the sentence for a gun, because you're in scales. Like I'm going to start. Well, I might as well carry a gun because it's the same sentence, so it makes no difference.
Absolutely. Now obviously, an interesting question I have, like, where do you think the problem lies in all it? Like, where would you say to start? Like, you got to start
Primary
the root?
School.
Where is the root? Where is the root? Mate.
Get it before it goes to high school. Listen, kids are sponges. They literally sponge and absorb everything. They sit there and they'll play and they're still listening. They sit there and play and they're still watching. You know, like you know, you've seen your kids on iPads, mate. They absorb everything. They start speaking American because they're watching American. You know what I mean? Like, you kids.
So true.
Where'd you get that accent from? You teach your kid another language when they're a child. It's a lot. They absorb that a lot more than what an adult would be able to, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be able to get into schools young. You need to be able to educate. You need to be able to stop being so woke and show these videos of, you know, like, okay. So when I was at school, at primary school, they used to show you safety videos, and these safety videos were horrendous. Yeah, there was a kid climbing on a scaffolding. The kid fell off, smacked his head. There was like parts of his skin and veins and everything was left on this rock where the kid fell off, and not allowed to show that stuff no more. Listen, I turned around and went to a college, a grown college, where adults as old as 40, 50 years old are going there to educate, right down to what kids leaving school, right? And I've gone in there and I said, can I show these pictures, of like injuries of what is being caused? There was some parents that allowed us to show children that have passed through knife crime and things like that. And they said, oh no, we can't do that. We'll have to get a form filled out by their parents. I was like, by their parents, they're classed as young adults. You know what I mean? Like if they can get a bank loan, if they can get like an overdraft, they're adults. Like, why do you need to? And they just wouldn't let us show it. So we're not able to show the realistic side of like the consequences of this. So what they say is,
the consequences.
Don't carry a knife, you could die. I've got to imagine that. How am I supposed to imagine that? Everything's a visual these days. So I think like this woke world is not allowing you to be able to show it, because if we stop killing each other, the masses get bigger. It goes back to the whole matrix side of everything,
mate. 100%. And like you said, like you're allowed to get a bank loan, get a bank account, because then you're a fucking slave to the system. It's like and it's like it like, by saying no doesn't make you a fucking villain. You know, at the end of the day, like, we can touch on the MC culture world. Oh, they're horrible. They're this, that, everything else. No, they're a group of people that believe in something, that will simply say no to something that's wrong and love riding bikes. All the bullshit aside, no one else knows anything else. You're just chatting shit because you can't control the fucking system. You know, and it's, I said to my son, he come home from school, he's like scared, he was upset and like scared he's got detention. It's like, what have you done? So, well, I've lost my history book. All right, well, that's on you, son. You got to take responsibility for that. What's the other one? Well, the teacher said that I haven't done my homework. I've did it. And I interrogated my son. I'm like, look, I'm going to your school. I'm going in there. Like, at the end of the day, I want to know. You know, I've got your back 100%. And he said, no, Dad, I definitely did it. He explained it down to the T. And the way I looked at it is, if my son was in the wrong, why would he admit that he's misplaced his history book? So I said to him, I said, don't do the work. He did the work. I said, it's fine. I'm still going into your school. And I went in there and I was like, look, I said, I told him not to do it. I said, he's done it because he's scared. I said, first of all, I'm not even happy that he's scared that he's going to get detention. I said, but I'm not asking my son to redo his homework through the incompetence of one of your colleagues.
Yeah.
Because that's not how it works. This is all control. Like, you want to bully him in an educated manner. Like, I'm not fucking playing that game. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know,
it's all pressures, mate. Do you know what it is? Like, they keep sending kids home. My kids come home every day with just like crap loads of work. And I think to myself, you know, they go to school. Yeah, like they go to school. They've got so much pressure on them. Oh, come home, do the homework, come in. Listen, if the schools are not educating them in the time that they've got access to our children, why are you sending, like, get new teachers? Because if you can't teach my children that, like, their brain needs a rest. It will fizzle out. Do you know what I mean? They need a rest. They need to be able to relax to come back to work the next day. All these tests and everything, all bollocks. I can't stand any of them. But then I've never been accepted. I've never accepted school because, you know, like, listen, I live a very good life. I live a very good lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? My children have everything that they want, and they don't have to ask me twice, you know, and that's all I care about. Yeah. Me, I will go without. Yeah. I will be the last person that gets something. Yeah. Because I don't care about none of that. I care about making sure that my kids have everything. And that's what it is. And I do not like, and I do not accept that schools give them homework to come home every night. They have to read books. They have to do this. If they're behind and they need us parents to be able to stay on top of the education because they can't stay on top of it, how's that our fault? How's that our kids' fault?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
And I think anybody that's in a trade where they're not in it for the love of education or making a change, police force, fire force, ambulance, schools, anything like that, if you're not in it because you want to make a difference, get out of that career, because you're making people's lives hell. And because of that, you know, you're causing so much stress. It can lead to so many things: suicide, mental health issues, you know, like, it just not being able to believe in themselves. Because, you know, like I say, kids absorb stuff from a young age, and if you're telling them that they're no good at a young age, they're soaking that up. So when they go into higher education, they're not going to believe in themselves. And I don't think there's nothing in schools that help empower these young men and women, and I think that's disgusting.
100%, mate. I mean, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy, like what you say, is because I'm like exactly the fucking same. I mean, like I say to my kids, I'm like, look, long as you can look me in the eye and just say, Dad, I tried my hardest. That's all I want. Like, that is all I fucking want. I've got your back 100%. Like, I will fucking take on the whole school. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you stand there, son, and you look me in the eye and you say, Dad, I tried my hardest. I said, and leave me to do the rest. I've got fucking, because I don't like this. Because I say, anyone looking down on me, mate,
the schools hate calling me up, mate. I'm telling you, they hate calling me up. Because I don't mince my words with the school. And I've obviously got an individual hate for them that is greater than my positive energy that I like to put out there.
Dude,
I do give it to the school, but on that, I give it to them in a positive way. I don't give it to them in an aggressive way. My thing towards them is to help them understand where they're actually going wrong, and I managed to be able to do that. So
I think it's incredible, mate. Honestly, like I think I just, mate. I mean, we didn't get a chance to talk about Black Saints, but obviously, like, you've been so fucking. It's incredible. Like, I'm not gonna take up any more of your time, because I could sit here for about another hour talking with you, dude. But like, what you're doing?
We'll do another one, man. We'll do another one. Not a problem.
I'll have to come down your way at some point, mate. Yeah. I'll like I say, for season 2, I'm gonna level up again, and I'm gonna start traveling. I'm gonna come down and give you, like, come into your studio and get you for an hour or so, and we'll do it. We'll finish off where we started, mate. It's 100%. Incredible. It's incredible what you're doing, and obviously, you know, to be able to stand there and tell your story, to overcome the shit, like dark, heavy shit, like, you know, losing your brother, like, and then to be able to switch that round and still say, like, you know, like, I'm still angry, because obviously most people think, oh, Paul's let it go. No, like, you need to understand, like, that shit doesn't go, like, because you've got a smile on your face, people go, oh, you know, all good love, and it is, but however, there's still that in there. There's still that side.
My daughter's just woke up. Say hello.
Hello. Hello. Sorry, I've been training your dad for nearly 2 hours. But yeah, we'll we'll leave it there. And mate, also people want to look into more information on your stab kits. How can they look at, how can they support, if there's a way to support? Is there anything like that?
Like I try and get back to all my messages I can. I know I've got 3 platforms. I've got the Black Saint London platform. That's the clothing brand and the sponsor behind all the stuff that we do with the charity. I've got the Paul Stansby podcast, which is everything we do with interviewing victims of crime and people that have just dealt with trauma, alcohol, drugs, sexual abuse, mental abuse. Everything is on the Paul Stansby podcast. But my main page that you can get hold of me on is the Lucky 13 Paul Stansby. That is the one that I'm always active with because that's my main business page. So if you want to know more information about it, reach out to us, slip into my DMs and just send me a message, a phone number, or just let us know. Give me an email address and I'll email all the details you need to be able to, if you want to sponsor one of these kits or if you want to know more about it, then we're happy to be able to do. That's what I got my tech guy for, Jamie. Jamie's my guy for that, you see.
He's on it. He's on it. Mate, I drained him for about 40 minutes the other day. I was like, fucking hell, I've been saying, Paul, don't bother with this fucker, mate. He don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like I'll be the face and the talk because obviously it's my trauma and my brother, and Jamie does all the tech stuff and the camera stuff and the editing and everything. He will say that he's got it a lot harder than I have, but I taught him everything he knows.
You taught him everything he fucking knows.
No, I didn't teach him that, mate. I'm lost with it all, but yeah, everyone needs a Jamie behind the scenes for sure.
I could do one of them. I could do one of them.
Yeah.
I'm winging it all myself, mate. It's like fucking trying to do everything all at once. I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah. Do you know what? Sometimes you need a team behind you. Sometimes, even if it's just your missus bringing you a coffee. That for you is that's real stuff. I mean, I had to get my own water, so I might give her a backhander in a minute. But
So when Paul can't tattoo you all next week, it went wrong. He's been fucked up by his missus.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna be at if anyone wants to come across and see us at any venues, I'm gonna be in August. I'm gonna be at Ink and Engines tattoo convention and car show. That is all in one. That's in August.
Where's that based?
And that's in Norwich. That is
Norwich.
Yeah. So that's going to be down there. Anyone overseas? Because I know I have a big overseas following. September, I'll be at California at the Golden State, and I'll be going on the Inked show. Do you know?
The Ink mag. I saw that. Yeah. That's sick,
yeah. So I'll be on
sick.
that again. So I'm going over there and stuff. So I'll be in California in September, and in August I will be hosting the Unleashed Boxing event in Wolverhampton, where all my Wolverhampton Hells Angel boys would be there and that lot. So yeah, big up them boys, Dubs and on them. So yeah, it's good. So I'll be there in August as well. I'm in Cornwall. I'm in Cornwall next in a couple of weeks, I think. I don't know. I'll be posting everything up, so you'll see whereabouts I am. But yeah, I'm a little bit all over. But if anyone wants to come and say hi, come say hi. I'll hug you, high five you, shake your hand, whatever. But yeah, anyone's got anything to say, just reach out to us.
That's fucking mint, mate. Honestly, thank you again for taking the time out of what's clearly a busy fucking schedule that you have.
Tell me about it, mate. You know what it is like? I really appreciate you and I respect you as a human being, and I love the fact that you've got me on your last one of the show, and I'm glad to be a part of your journey. And if I can help you in any way whatsoever in your future, please reach out, man. And if you want to come to Ink and Engines and tattoo alongside us lot, then let me know, man. I can hook that up.
Oh, mate, I'm not that good, mate. I'm fucking never like, why have you got this? What the fuck's going on here?
But if you want to come along, mate, come along. I can introduce you to some of the boys that can help you with tips and stuff. Yeah,
that'd be cool, man. That'd be cool. I'll hopefully can make that happen, mate. Yeah, for sure. That'd be sick. But
yeah,
I've mate. Thanks again, mate. I really do appreciate. Listen, It's incredible. It's incredible what you like. So I know I've repeated myself, but it really fucking is, mate. It's people need to be inspired by this, and if they don't, they need to fucking have a word with themselves and think, what is it actually that gets them inspired? Like, because this is fucking life changes. Life,
and you're absolutely right. And if they're not inspired, they're not ready for it yet, you know. But when they are, they will come back to this. So just remember that everything you're doing now might not reach everyone right now, but in the future, it will reach them. At some point, they will remember this. Okay, so like, just keep your channel as healthy as you possibly can. Keep pushing for it, despite the negative. Listen, if you've got haters, you're doing something right. It's really that simple. Yeah. So if you've got haters, you're doing something right. And if they don't want to hear the message, that's on them. But when they're ready to hear it, they will listen. All right. Not everyone's ready right now. So just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let no one stop you in your stride, because this is your legacy.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
All right.
That is fucking awesome. I appreciate that.
No problems, brother.
I am going to leave you to it. And mate, it's been incredible, honestly. What a way to finish off, like, with someone that's fucking. There's no clearer message of what you're doing. You know, it's like, this is what it is. Like, let's fucking sort this shit out. You know, awesome.
Nice one, man.
I'm gonna end the old live stream, mate.
All right, mate.